This is a very important day because the entire day we are going to deliberate on a very significant topic, that is ending child marriage. For different reasons, it is unfortunate that in India, in this age when we talk of 5G, technological advancements and globalization, we also grapple with the social evil of child marriage. The reasons may be different, the reasons may be many. It might be poverty, it might be lack of education, it might be gender inequality, but then the problem persists. And today we meet here to deliberate on this problem, on this issue, to learn more about it and to see whether and in what way this problem can be solved, resolved. So, to begin with, I first request our guests to take their respective seats here on the dais. First, I would request Head of the Department, Professor Bharti Patnaik, Madam, Department of Journalism and Mass Communication, to kindly take her seat. I take this opportunity to request Sugata Roy ji, Social and Behavior Change Specialist, UNICEF, to also come forward. Sir will be coming and joining. I also request Mana Biswas ji, Child Protection Specialist from UNICEF, who is posted here in Bhubaneswar. I request everyone to welcome our guests with a huge round of applause. I now request our resource person of today, Hasina Pandaji, National Projects Lead, Child Rights Activist. Due to some reason, we do not have our esteemed Vice Chancellor, Professor Santosh Kumar Tripathi, and we are expecting Chairman PG Council, Professor Bhaskar Behra. He might find out some time and come and be here with us, but due to some work, he is occupied as of now, so he is not able to make it. So without further ado, I request Professor. Yes, so we have Sugata Roy ji, Social and Behavior Change Specialist from UNICEF. He has been leading us here with different projects, and we are so fortunate to have this wonderful tie-up, with wonderful synergy with UNICEF, because of which we have been able to organize different programs at different levels, different workshops. So I now request Professor Bharti Patnaik, Madam, to kindly deliver the welcome address.
Respected Dr. Sugata Roy, SDC Specialist UNICEF, Nasiram Kondasa, National Project Lead Child Right, and respected Mana Biswas, Child Protection Specialist, and my faculty, my colleagues in Hogginwall universities, and our PhD students, diploma students, and PG students. It is a good opportunity for us. We are celebrating, we are arranging this meeting to end the child marriage, and it is a serious issue in our society, and we have to stop it. And a global humanitarian organization is implementing the project Social and Behavior Change (SBC), which commenced on 1st December 2022 and will run till 30th November 2024. The objective of this project is to create awareness among all people about the dangers of child abuse and child marriage. It also aims to bring behavioral changes in parents, children, adolescents, and influential people in these areas, and increasing statewide population report On 19 April 2023, Bangladesh is the Bangladesh top in South Asia in child marriage, around 1% of girls getting married before the age 18. Maldives has the lowest rate of child marriage, only 2% in South Asia and 43% in India. According to this report, child marriage increases are at risk of early pregnancy. Child marriage has an overall impact of mental health of mother and children. Communication objective is to raising awareness and visibility of the early child marriage issues and bringing together relevant actors to identify problems, causes and solutions. Depth interview, participation, observation and focus group discussions to help create concept of communication model to solve this serious problem in our surrounding. And thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And to brief us about the objective of the seminar, we have a very important personality amidst us, Sugata Roy, who is social and behavior change specialist from UNICEF. He has been working day in and out to make to solve different issues related to social and behavior change. And as I know him personally, he is a problem solver. He has solution for every problem that we encounter. And with this dedicated support that we have received, we have been successfully conducting different programs at the level of our department. I now request Saugata Roy to talk about the objective of this one-day seminar. Sir.
Good morning to all of you. Respected Professor Marty Madam, my colleagues Manna Vishwas and our great friend Nasiram ji, and of course my department professors out here. I have been asked to tell you about the objective of this workshop. Child marriage is actually not a problem of our society. It is a problem at the household level, at the community level, at the state level. In fact, it's a big problem at the national level. And if we have to address this problem, then we have to work collectively. And that collective force is always missing. If you look into I think my colleagues and Nasiranji will tell you about, when it speaks about having a framework, laws, policies, guidelines, programs, we are number one in the world. But when it comes to executing it, we are facing immense problem of social norms, immense problem of social practices, problem of perception, problem of belief, which is actually acting as a hurdle to achieve our goal. If you look into the data which my friends will share with you, we have made a remark. But if you see, despite this progress, if you see, every one girl in three girls globally are child brides. And out of that, as Madam mentioned, in South Asia we have maximum child brides. And within that, after Bangladesh, India is one of the leading countries having more number of childbirths. If you look into the states where they are having more number of child marriages, you won't believe our neighboring state, West Bengal, has highest number of child marriages, 41%. then another state close by, Jharkhand, then Bihar. These states are having more number of child marriages. Actually, what is happening in Rajasthan? We always had a belief that Rajasthan is number one. In fact, when NFHS 3 data revealed, it showed Bihar is number one, followed by Jharkhand and Rajasthan. And now West Bengal is also in the top list. When it comes to Odisha, we have made significant progress. We have reduced the incidence of child marriage. We are about 20% now. But yet, we have a big target in front of us, achieving the target of ending child marriage by 2030 to achieve the sustainable development goals. If we go with this pace, we may not be able to achieve our target. So we have to bring in some renewed trust to take forward our efforts to reduce the child marriage. And one of the objectives that we are having for this workshop is to raise awareness. Raise awareness especially of the students of journalism and mass communication. We want your support, your platforms, because you are the people who have that ability to communicate to the masses, communicate to the families in the language which community understands best, to take forward our efforts to stop child marriage. Then there is one more challenge which I mentioned, the challenge of social norms and the attitude of the people. How do we address that? Because social norms are very strong. And social norms, who builds it? Social norms are built by people like you and I over a period of time, over centuries. And breaking that cannot happen in one go or by one group of people. All of us have to be part of it, and your support is again required to take forward those issues. Another area is how do we empower our women. If we can empower our girls, our adolescent girls, to make that informed choice. If you can make the informed choice, the very premise of child marriage, the premise of making girls as brides will come to an end. That is where we have to play a big role. Then the third area is about how we improve our community engagement. Because community engagement, unless and until you engage with the community, you won't be able to stop it. And I was fortunate to accompany Asiramji to Ganja, where we found the community leaders from one particular community, Gouda community, I think, where all the community leaders have passed a resolution that not a single girl from our community will be going for child marriage before the age of 18. And they have also passed the resolution, even their boys will not marry before the age of 21. So what is the alternative for that? Alternative is education. We have to move forward with the education, and government has been providing a lot of facilities, opportunities to get into education. The fourth one is how do we strengthen our laws, existing laws. Because recently there was a proposal, suggestion, and Asibai has also written in I think Indian Express has reported that can we make sarpanches as our child prohibition officers at the panchayat level? We have video as the child prohibition officer at the block level, CDPOs and also sarpanches. Proposal is there. Can we make them? That's what I'm saying. Can we make them so that the protection and the safety net for the girls go down up to the community level? What we are feeling that we need a social and behavior change. Many of you are the students of the social and behavior change course. So what we look at, what can be the HPC interventions? We have to mobilize the community to stop child marriage. Can it be like community-based campaigns we can take forward? Can the campaigns bring about some solutions? Or do we need to have a edutainment where education and entertainment can be clubbed together? Professor Assis is a master of that program, and like your puppetry, which I think puppet shows are going to be shown today. Can we use puppetry as a child marriage? Then of course level where you can raise awareness among the community, and also building capacity of our community leaders. And finally, which again boils down to our role of how we engage with religious leaders, because religious leaders play a very crucial role in stopping or ending child marriage? How do we work with them and promote that positive change? So that's what we want to discuss today, and I'm sure whatever knowledge exchange happens, we can learn from you. You can learn from us, we can learn from you, and together we should be able to bring out some knowledge products, some process, some ways how we can take forward our interventions in our efforts in taking child marriage. With these words, I would like to request Madam Smriti to take over. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Very rightly said, that's a very deep-rooted problem. Might be because of the deep-rooted cultural norms, it might be because of the religious belief, might be because of illiteracy, gender inequality, or poorly enforced implementation of the Prohibition of Child Marriage Act. Before I move forward in inviting the next speaker, I would request Professor Bharti Balapatnaik to welcome all our guests by providing them beautiful saplings that we have here with us. You can take these saplings and it will remind you of our department as it grows to a beautiful plant.
Yes.
It will keep reminding you of this beautiful day. I request our student to also welcome our HOD madam by providing her these saplings. As a token of love and remembrance, we have our memento here. I also request the students to bring the uttariya and the memento. I request Mr. Sogatrai to welcome our HOD on the days by providing her the memento. Thank you everyone. Thank you sir. Thank you ma'am. I request Manna Viswasji, who is Child Protection Specialist from UNICEF. He has been working with this institution since a long time now, more than a decade, and he has been working towards ending child marriage. I request sir to kindly address the gathering on ending child marriage through perspective of Odisha. Sir.
Thank you, ma'am. A very good morning to you all. Respected Vice Chancellor, FM University, Professor Santosh Kumar Tripathi, I am told he is here in spirit. Respected Chairman, PG Council, FM University, Professor Bhaskar Behra, I am also told he will come, but he is also in spirit. Respected HOD, Department of Journalism and Mass Communication, Professor Bharti Balapatnaik, ma'am. respected colleagues from Department of Journalism and Mass Communication, my colleague Mr. Shubhankar Roy, Social and Behavior Change Specialist from UNICEF, and Mr. Kasiram Panda, National Project Lead Child Rights Action Aid, and organizers of today's seminar and students of FM University. Now, my topic was to talk about child marriage from the Orissa perspective. What I thought of doing yesterday, when I was trying to think what I will speak today, I tried to thought that let me talk about a little bit of data trends and major districts, concerns, some of the drivers that leads to child marriage, and at the same time what is currently happening and what needs to happen. As Shubhankar has already said that as far as SDG by 2030 we want to achieve zero child marriage. So what do we need to do and what is already happening? It's not like nothing has been done. A lot has been done. Even though if you look at NFHS 3 and NFHS 6, there is a huge decline in child marriage in Orissa, but there are still patches and districts where there is high prevalence. So there is in NFHS 3 there was 37.2% of girls who were married before the age of 18, and in NFHS 5 it is 20.5%. Despite that, there are certain districts like Navranpur, which has 39% in child marriage, there is Nayagar, which is 35%, and Koraput, which is also 35%. These are very high rates of child marriage. Some of the reasons when we try and understand this, these districts, what we find common in all these districts are poverty, sociocultural norms, strong sociocultural norms that drive child marriage, gender inequality, which means basically preference for a boy child and not valuing a girl child, and among some of the main drivers. Whereas districts like Khurda, where the child marriage is 17%, Cuttack 14%, and Puri 10%, what we see in them is that better access to education, healthcare, and even community awareness. So this itself tells us a story, gives us a perspective of what needs to be done and what are some of the key drivers that lead to child marriage. I want to present another data point to you, which is rural areas in Orissa show higher prevalence of child marriage, which is around 21.7%, compared to urban areas, which shows around 40.5%. So there is something going on between rural and urban areas also, which needs to be understood. We can't say that we understand everything, but we at least know that this is what the scenario is as So what we can say and what we can understand is that though Orissa has made tremendous progress, in reducing child marriage, but there are still areas which needs our focus. There are still districts where we need to focus. So before we get into what is happening and what needs to be done, let us look at the 5 key reasons why child marriage happens, what drives child marriage. In user language we call them drivers. Drivers is something that push a certain phenomenon. And so what are those drivers? Number one, as Shubhankar has already said, and I'm sure Kasiram will also build upon it, is poverty, number one. So, families, especially in tribal and rural areas, where there is a stress on economic, stability in a family, marriage is a way out, to reduce the burden on the family, and they also think that, their daughter will be better placed. From my experience, I would also like to share something that, is it okay if I take 5-6 minutes more? Okay. So, from our experience, I would also like to share that no parents dislike or hate their children, be it a boy or a girl. Even if there is a boy preference or a girl, value of girl child is not as much as a boy. But no parent really, dislikes or hates their children. So the decisions they make in the best interest of their children. And in some cases, or in Orissa, at least in 20% of the cases, they are making this decision in the best interest of the child to get their daughters married off, because they think that's the best option. So when you are poverty, when there is limited resources in the family thinks that that's the way out, get children married. It is not because they hate their children and shoot every base door, I don't care. They care, which is why child marriage. So we have to understand and recognize this while we are programming for it. And that's a very important perspective to have. The other is socio-cultural norms. There are practices in our community, again, where it is around family honor, their gender roles and everything, where it said that, it's better to, marry a girl early because something which has been practiced by your forefathers and everything, you generally tend to grow up thinking that it is right. So challenging those kind of gender norms is very hard. But again, there lies your role as journalism and mass communication students when you grow up to be a journalist and a specialist in the field of mass communication. It is on you to design communication program, behavior change programs, layout that will influence this thought, challenge these thoughts and influence. If Sati could be banned hundreds of years back in that scenario, why can't we do it now? So there is scope. So what we need to do is that design the right kind of program, design that build an environment where this change can happen. The third reason is education gap. So several years back when I was still working on the field, someone told me that why should I send my child to a school? A farmer or you are a potter or someone in a rural area who do not have access to quality education, they have to send their children to a government school. Where there is no teacher, where there is lack of infrastructure and everything. So when they send their children to those schools, their children spend time in the school. They do not educate themselves. They do not. So what does it leave them? It leaves them with a child who has no skill either in the traditional field or in the field of education, because he can go and get a job in the government because he's just not educated enough. So you might read and write, but literacy, what does literacy lead to? Nothing. What is literacy today? If you can read and write, will that get you a job? No. So you need quality education. The education is the right kind of skill that will lead you to getting a job, and a job that will pay you enough to sustain yourself. That's another thing. There are jobs and there are jobs. So that's another perspective. Access to quality education. So lack of education sometimes is also parents think that, again, they are thinking in the best interest of their child. They're thinking that if my child or my daughter goes to school, does not learn anything, or घर का खाना भी बनाना नहीं सीखा, does not know how to cook, does not know how to do, what will she do in life? At least if she knows how to cook well and know chores, there is some something she knows that will keep her in good state when she's married. So that's what the parents are thinking. So we have to understand this perspective so that we can design communication programs better. So what are the alternatives? And how do we challenge this? But if we think that, ye to galat hai, then you really go ahead. You have to first accept, recognize what is it, what is pushing them, and only then you can design a program. The third, gender equality. Lesser said than better because it needs an entire day by itself. So the gender norms and the gender inequality that we have in our society is not a current phenomenon. It's an age-old phenomenon, which has happened due to multiple reasons. To keep this topic short, is just let us say that parents consider that the boys would keep them in good stead when they are old. The reality might be different, but that's what the belief is. कि अगर मेरे पास लड़के हैं बुढ़ापे की लाठी, we have all heard that, लड़के बुढ़ापे की लाठी होती है, लड़की तो पराई ना. So that's what is doing. So लड़की को शादी कर दो, उसमें इन्वेस्ट करना बेकार है, तो किसी और सेवा खाएगा. अगर मेरा लड़के IAS भी बन गया, तो मेरे को क्या फायदा? उसका हस्बैंड को फायदा होगा, उसका इन-लॉज को फायदा होगा. Think from the perspective. कि अगर मेरे पास 10 ही रुपए है, मेरे पास अगर 50 रुपए है, ठीक है, मैं 20 अपना बेटी को दूंगा, 20 बेटे को दूंगा, 10 अपने लिए रखूंगा. बट मेरे पास अगर है ही 20 रुपए, 10 मुझे चाहिए, तो 10 रुपए बेटे को ही दूंगा क्योंकि वो मेरा फ्यूचर इन्वेस्टमेंट है. So that's what they are thinking. That is what we need to understand. And therefore, what do we need to do? And from there on, we have to design our programs. From there on, we have to design our communication strategies. Finally, very interesting, security of a girl child. I was in college first year, and we had a cook. I was in Kolkata, very progressive place, and the cooks, the lady's daughter used to come to our house once in a while, and we would see, chat, and also teach her something. She was in class 8. And one fine day, she comes to us and gives us an invitation to come to her daughter's marriage. I was appalled. Hey, शादी क्यों करवा रहे? क्या हो गया? What happened? Why? She's underage. These that. Even if I was not into development sector then, but I had the sense that this is too early for someone to get married. So she told me something very interesting. She said that, Dada, where I stay, an adolescent daughter is not safe because I am not home that day and my husband is not home that day. When the girl comes from school, if someone does something to us, who will save us? Will you save her? Who will marry her? People like you will not marry my daughter. What will happen to her? So these are real challenges for real people. That day I understood, security of girl child is also a primary and key driver of child marriage. And that's the fifth reason I'm stating. So these are all real issues. So if we do not understand these issues, if we do not appreciate these issues, we cannot program. We cannot design anything without understanding this thing. Which is why I thought I'd put this board in front of you. So coming back to, I cannot give you an entire picture here, but I'll try to touch upon everything a little bit. So how does it impact a girl child? The early marriage. What happens when a girl child happens? The first challenge that leads is on the health, early pregnancy. It's a natural course of a child marriage. You're married at 16, by 17, you're pregnant. It has a detrimental impact on health, on mental health. It also cuts out a lot of your education and economic opportunities in life, and it also puts you at risk of your life. Maternal mortality and child mortality are very high in India, which are also directly linked to anemia and child mortality at that age. So that's one. So we say that लड़कों के लिए तो अच्छा ही है, जल्दी शादी हो रहा है, मजा है, something. No. When a boy is married, he is forced into adulthood at a very early age. Because उसको कमाना पड़ेगा, खिलाना पड़ेगा. That is also there. All of you boys sitting here, you know that from your family, even in your society, there is pressure that लड़का है कमाना पड़ेगा, लड़की तो कमाए तो भी चलेगा. ये आज भी है. So just think, at the age of 18, 19, you are just pushed into a marriage and you have to earn. What will happen? First thing you follow is education, because you cannot continue to educate yourself because you have to earn something. You have to do work that one. You might have certain hobbies and you might have like to do something. You can't do. Same goes for the girl. Even a girl might have so many dreams. All dreams are crushed. Family, घर का काम करो, सास, बहू, husband, wife, सबको देखो. So what it really does is that it contains a life. It contains aspirations. It contains ambition. It contains everything out and pushes you into something that you are not ready for. Now, which is why, whenever a country develops, you will see the rate of childbirth goes down. In all developed countries it happens. The age of marriage goes higher and higher because people are exploring different things because they have so much to do. They have so much to explore. So, they delay the marriage. They might have a girlfriend, but they might not marry. They might not come into a union. So, that's the time. So, with an early marriage, all these things are being curtailed. So, now let's understand what is being done. What is being done by the government, what is being done at several levels, and what needs to be done. So let's first come to, and I'm keeping this very, very focused on Orissa because the topic given to me was to talk about Orissa. So the first thing the government of Orissa has done, and it's a fantastic thing, is that in 2019, government of Orissa came up with a strategic action plan for ending child marriage. Now, I'm sure Kasiram, Shukotoda, they were all, UNICEF was involved in it, Kasiram was involved in it, a lot of stakeholders were involved in it. So through this strategic action plan, what they intended to do is, harmonize different activities that happens across departments, so that there is a focus on ending child marriage. There is focus of effort, there is coordination, and at different level, customized programs can be done. So it also mandated having district action plans. So I'm happy to share with you that Orissa has a district action plan for ending child marriage in every district. And in 25 of those districts, Hasiram had a direct role to play because his organization works on it. So that is there. In there, what is happening is that, looking at the need of that particular district, programs, government programs especially, are designed and they're rolled out with that agency. So, a DAP, a district action plan of Navratpur would be different from a district action plan in Khurda or Puri. They will be different. In Puri, it will be more of a last mile reach approach, whereas in Navratpur, it would be still the old style programming of mass awareness and mass focus on because the rates are very high. So that what DAP allows us to do. It also harmonizes, the work at the district. And what it also does is that, in every district, a task force is formed. District task force we call it. And district task force is entrusted with the responsibility of implementing the district action plan, which is in turn built around the framework of a state action plan. So there is an harmonized approach, to addressing child marriage. Born out of this and also several other experiments, as Hasiram Bhayu explained in his session, is a program was born in a program was born in Orissa, which was Advika program. Advika phone is designed unique, so the word means. So it was primarily designed as a community level program for adolescent girls, to ensure that they have the life skills and the agency to resist child marriage and also, express their agency within the family, and explain to the family that they are not ready for marriage. And also empower them through multiple trainings like life skills training, skills trainings, etc. Very happy to share that last year Advika scheme was converted into an Advika scheme, which also demonstrates the intention and the focus of the government to address an issue like child marriage. And we find a good budget that we need to expect. So currently, I'm very happy to share the previous SAP state action plan was from 19 to 24. We have reviewed and we have again drafted with government of Orissa a strategic plan for 25 to 30. So that's in place and that is also happening. So government is doing so much, but what more needs to be done? Let me also then give you a perspective that when a child marriage is 60%, it is very easy to bring it down to 40. When it is 40, it is slightly difficult to bring it down to 20. But 20 onwards, it's even more difficult because then you are entering into last mile issues, last mile challenges, areas where you cannot reach. You have saturated these areas. What is left with the difficult areas of the difficult issues. So we are in that phase. We are in the ballpark of 20%. And India is also around that, 23%. So we have arrived at that place where we have to work harder and more focused and more niche. So from that perspective, what needs to be done? These are our wish lists. So first and foremost, I think strict enforcement of the legislations is very important. When I say strict enforcement, बच्चों को उठा के जेल में डाल दो नहीं. If you look at PCMA, we have to be very careful. So early intervention, early information systems, so that you can stop a child marriage. Number two, penalizing people who support a marriage, like the caterers, the printing machines, the printing press, all those things are very important and we have to work with them. And wherever they have supported a child marriage, we have to come down and clear. So that's very important. So that there is fear that नहीं बच्चों को तो शादी नहीं करवा सकते, तो शादी में participate भी नहीं कर सकते. Continuous training of all duty bearers of the government machinery who are responsible in some way with implementation of child marriage and child marriage prohibition laws. So, because as Shubhodaya was talking about child marriage prohibition officers, so which is why the government is also thinking of, broad basing the child marriage prohibition officers into someone from the panchayat and also school headmasters and teachers. It is not yet out, but the proposal is there. So that discussion is currently going on. So that is there. But designating them as child marriage prohibition officer will not solve the problem. What will solve the problem is skilling these duty bearers, skilling these functionaries. That's very important. They need to know what they have to do and what they can do and how they can do it. If they're not doing it the way it needs to be done, then it doesn't matter whether there is one city child marriage prohibition officer or there are 1,000 child marriage prohibition officers. The number does not matter. What matters is the skill of the person who is entrusted with the responsibility. 3. Multiple departments needs to come together, like education, WCD, health, and they must coordinate their effort comprehensively. Like together they should work, which is basically the idea of the SAP. But I must say that SAP is a document, but the way it could have been implemented or the way it could have brought, it is not completely undone, but it is not realized its full potential. That's what I would say. So there is scope for more coordination and joint programming among the departments. Ensuring that Advika is implemented in every nook and corner of the state. So Advika is, as per the government document, Advika is for across the state. But the problem is that there are 70,000 Anganwadi workers who are supposed to implement Advika program, but we really do not know whether all the 70,000 Anganwadi workers are actually implementing Advika program or not. Even if they're implementing, what is the level, what is the quality? Those are concerns. Those are areas that we need to focus on. And how do we focus on? I'll come to my last section where I'll talk about monitoring and evaluation. Those are also important areas to focus. And finally, we have to work with both boys, girls, parents, and the community. Just empowering a girl does not happen. We had the population control program where we started giving, contraceptives to a woman. But in a conjugal relationship in India, woman does not have control over their own bodies. So it failed. So similarly in a child marriage, the girl is not the key decider in the families. We're trying to empower them. But a girl against 5, 10 family members, what are the odds she has? So therefore we have to work with the boys, we have to work with the parents, and we have to work with the community. Until and unless we create an ecosystem, for the girl to exercise her agency, it is not going to work. So in urban areas, that's what, and therefore we need to create those alternatives. And finally, investing in market-oriented vocational trainings, that's very important. In schools, we have to have schooling education in a way where there are skills that has a market, So that's something we need to integrate in our education system, in all our adolescent empowerment programs. Coming to now community mobilization, like in Orissa, engagement with tribal, caste and religious leaders are already happening to address harmful practices. Programs like Kishori Divas under Advika scheme, where all the girls come together, and those are all very helpful programs. But what it really needs to have, and the first point is for you all, is that use of mass media and social media to raise awareness about harmful impacts of child marriage on girls, boys, families, and communities. So you have to cover the entire spectrum. If you are a student of journalism, when you are doing journalism, you write articles. I know it will be hard to start with, but you find a way how to write about this. If you are a mass communication student, think how you will use social media, how you will use, the TV, how you will use those radio or those mediums, to bring about this awareness and to put forth what opportunities are already there. That communication becomes very important. Community-based efforts, like I'm discussing with Hasina Bhai today that Ganjam was the first district in Orissa in 2022 to be declared as a child marriage district, which is also challenged. But it was declared. So something happened. There's something called the Nirbhaya Kadi program. If I'm pronouncing it correctly. So that was the first program which was an integrated community effort to address child marriage and which also inspired the development of Advika program and later the Advika scheme. I did not know about this. Hasiram Bhai informed me today morning when we were having a quick chat. So we also need to work with the community platforms like Gram Panchayat, Child Protection Committees or Gaon Kalyan Samitis. I think CPCs have now been termed as Gaon Kalyan Samitis in Odisha. So working with Gaon Kalyan Samitis, self-help groups, they can be a good friend in this entire effort to address child marriage. Then we need to design and roll out parenting programs. There has to be a huge focus on parents and how you do parenting. Just having a baby does not make you a parent. It's more than that. How do we do that? How do we help people in parenting? People putting the right kind of values and also explaining them what alternatives they have for their children. Engaging with men and boys in campaigns, that's again your role, as communication experts, these are some of the areas you need to excel to contribute to the society, to contribute to nation building, if I say. So that's where, we have to work with them. So uplifting girl is not enough, we also have to rationalize the men and boys, so that there's balance. To create a balance, you need to work on both the sides of the spectrum. And then finally encouraging people to challenge societal norms, not like